That's the one I'm looking for. All these whites. That's not what I wanted. Okay, this version is the copy. And afterwards, this one gets posted. And this goes live here. Post, producer, post, copy, paste, and we're good. Yeah? Yeah, we're good. Unfortunately, I can't have two of these at the same time, so I have to deal with that. Hello, Struggler. Don't get too close. Did not ask you, Grok. Clean this after it is manually inpenned or at the end of stream. There we go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, despite the time of day and night, that does not stop me from doing my job, which means, welcome, once again, back to Yap-In with Carl, number 30, starting at 7:13 p.m. on November the 9th. I'm sure some of you all have plenty to talk about, and should you not, well, it is what it is. Let me talk to you about what we're doing. We are now phase 2 inside of the server. And we are coming along swimmingly. Community. And then there's that one thing that I have. It's in my email. We are coming along swimmingly into the server environment. We have made significant pushes. We have plenty of users that we came along with. Why is my child playing out in the dark? We have plenty of things going on inside of the server environment. I've invited other content creators to come along with me. Sheepsitting's account, or Sheepsitting's computer, is not working very well right now. So his wife, Hora Amata, is actually playing with the community on this cycle of the game. We've even picked up some people inside of the game that may become converts in their own time. We'll see if I can work the Negro spiritual on them. However, we come together for one reason and one reason only, and that's for me to talk to you, not necessarily the other way around. For any person who can hear and see the sound of my voice, you can be able to use exclamation point Yap-In. That is exclamation point YAPIN. To be able to find the link to find yourself inside of the Discord, where you can be able to talk to me directly, where you will have up to 15 minutes to discuss anything you want to. It's like this woman right here. She doesn't have to do anything at all. She just has to get in here for whatever. Hey, baby, how can I help you? Aww. She don't want to talk. Okay. But going to the show. Talk to me. I talk back. And if you want to talk money, internet drama, clutch sharks, all that, I talk that. 100%. 1000%. Okay. The water tanks are still going. Still flooded. And now the oil tanks are flooding. So now I just need to get the water up. So, you can see what you're saying. Oh, my baby is fucking, she's camera shy. No, she's camera shy. But yeah, calling to the show. We have plenty we can talk about. And we have plenty of which I want to talk about. Starting off with this environment. This server environment right here inside of Once Human. It is an experience, I will tell you what. I have probably not had the same level of fun that other people could say that they themselves have had. And yet, in this server environment, I feel like I am truly at one with my peoples. It is fun. It is great. It is probably some of the best experience that I've had with gaming in a handful of a bit. And I feel like that has to do with the fact that this particular server's, like, I don't know how else to explain it. Its particular quirk is that you have to work up to everything that you want to do yourself. Any and everything that you want to do with the server environment, you have to naturally achieve it as a part of your goal. And it means that people have to actually play the game directly and actively. They have to play the game directly and actively, and they have to play the game in such a way where they cannot just simply cheese their way through the content. They could probably get help in, like, being lazy and using one of the many meta tactics that were developed for this game in early access when they were first developing this game mode, but they have to actually play the game. They have to scale on their own and get to the point where their symbiosis level is high enough to move to the next content. They have to fuse up their own creatures. They have to create their own workforce to be able to get the materials necessary to then level said creatures and get to a point of skill and power. All of that and more is deeply interesting in how they chose to do it. And in the same fashion with any game that has an aggregate system of time built over, it's extremely friendly to new people, unlike the other ones that are very aggressive to new players. Usually in the other server environments, in the other season scenarios, it is very aggressive to the fact that if you get left behind, you cannot compare and cannot compete against the rest of the expected material and content that would be available inside the server, because your ability to do the content and show up for the content is what controls your ability to access the content. However, in this server scenario environment, because the only thing that players can do with monetary investment is money, that money directly serves the purpose of just being for player intrigue. There's no waving around cash and buying everything out of a store to rob somebody of the opportunity to try to get to be a part of the experience. So everything in this way is balanced. This water tower here that is inside of this facility, this water tower, I literally cannot run it without feeding it water. So between having my greenhouse core and having a need for future reputation, in order for me to get to the next scale of potential, where I can really make this entire setup here get a redesign and really explode both my water and oil production for the purposes I'm going to be using them for, I have to actually design and redesign a new facility, because I'm not even capable of using the proper materials that I want to use for final building structure, or the power banks that I'm currently running off of. I have to do all this work, and the work keeps you engaged, because the only thing that there is to do is to explore the environments. Because as you get to your next point of potential, you then naturally can expand outwards. And all of the fun is had in that and that alone. It is great. It is great. It's so cool. It's so fun. And yet there are people that they don't like that, because it requires them to do a little bit more effort than the norm. It's so ridiculous. But I suppose bygones to each their own and all that bullshit. I find it inherently ridiculous at the top end of, like, all the stuff that it can be related to. But enough about me and the shit that I'm doing. What about you all? What have you all been doing? Anybody in the audience want to talk about it? Anybody? 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 Ooh, that bike's nice. Anybody? 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 Just enough. No one. No one at all. That's fine. In the meanwhile, plenty of stuff has happened this week. We've seen Sydney Sweeney demonstrate that it is indeed possible for a white woman to be able to show and demonstrate that you don't have to bend your knee to the mob. You can literally just ignore them, and they won't be able to tell you shit. We have seen multiple stories and multiple embarrassing things come out of Twitch. It is very obvious and clear that amongst the streamers and creators, Miss Kiff is about to find himself in a really hard situation. Cruel World Happy Mind got her shit pushed in. We're basically trying to phone in a horrible piece of fucking slander material, because she thought that it was going to be an easy slam dunk to make some easy buku money as a snarker off the back of Ethan Klein, and he fucking felted her live on camera. And the fact that Nick Fuentes was given an interview by Tucker Carlson, and it's being spun as though he is going to be the upkeep of a new member of an incoming generation of influencer, while at the same time people like Lily Gaddis demonstrate the reason why that will never fucking work and why that will never fucking happen. It just seems to be everything is going the way of clout sharks not getting a necessary benefit out of this whole internet thing, for the most part. So I find it to be exciting. It's an exciting time to watch some stupid ass shit like this happen. If only Fish Tank Live were happening, right, chat? If only Fish Tank Live were a thing. Still. And certainly there are some people who are still annoyed by the fact that that shit happened too. All in all, it all goes certain ways. Carl, you want to feel young? The Wii turns 20 next year. Yeah, and my Wii's still set up in my living room. so that I can be able to play Dance Dance Revolution Hottest Party, which happens to be the worst of the Mamani Dance Dance Revolution games, but it's the only ones that were available on the Wii. And if I had a functioning PlayStation 2, I'd have even more copies. And if I had a functioning PlayStation 1, I'd be playing the original copies. And if I had a functioning Game Boy, Nintendo GameCube, I'd be playing the one that had Mario Mix. Which means, it does exactly what the fuck I need to do. It allows me to break my ankles. It is what it is, man. Tide goes in, tide goes out. A system that has been abandoned by the company becomes a piece of content material that I have fun with nonstop. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Ain't nothing I can do about that. I wish I could do something about it, but I can't. Yeah, I have no straps for that. You're so sad the laser in the GameCube stopped working. Well, that's where you have emulation, fortunately. As long as you can connect something to the PC that can allow you then to emulate it, you can still be able to use those tools because there are adapters that allow you to make use of the pad. And if that's not good enough, there's always Stepmania. You can import your charts and shit. But I guess it's not the same. It's not the same. Crunchy. What am I looking for? Am I looking for an atomic? I think I am.
Time for one of my favorite segments, Listener Calling. John, you're on the air. What's up, man? Where are you calling from and what do you do? Hey, Vic! Big fan, man, big fan. I'm a driver.
How else, Ren? How you doing?
From Greywater. A driver, huh? So what's the wildest thing you've seen on the road? Oh, that's easy. That's gotta be the Wanderer. That big bus with arms instead of wheels? Don't tell me you actually got up close and personal with now caught the weirdest form of public transportation.
Yes, we done. Oh, not that long. Kappa. Well, yeah, plenty of news stories happened this week, and I'm not particularly assured and or convinced of it. I think the biggest part of news stories that have happened this particular month, if not this particular week, is the fact that Twitch happened to fire the employee that was responsible for most of the VTubers getting their accounts fucked with and or catching unfair bans. The fact that they were able to fire that guy now means that you're going to see probably more VTubers around rather than less VTubers around. But I couldn't tell you whether or not I care about that for the majority and capacity of my attention span, because it appears to me that I feel like Kick V needs to become a meme again, but it's not a meme. It just needs to happen, because it appears that every time, especially when it feels like it's relevant versus not relevant, it appears to be that between Arch Warhammer and V, they're supposed to be responsible for every single female VTuber being successful, which means they are directly responsible for most of the brain rot and stupidity that is common with VTubing con shit. And I find that to be a lack. I find that to be an extreme and intense lack. One that I'm not happy about. But it is what it is at the end of the day. I need to rebuild this. There we go. Now I get additional AP bullets. Don't worry about that once I have the stats. But yeah, I don't like this idea that I'm supposed to just fall in love with the idea of those two specifically controlling that conversation cycle. It feels lazy to me in a very significant particular way. How am I doing? I'm doing fine. My day literally has technically began because I streamed very early into the morning, starting out late at night after a late night, and now we're getting back up and we're probably going to do it again. You happen to be calling in during the middle of Yap-In. Exclamation point Yap-In. That's a normal gel. I don't like this nature where apparently if you're not in agreement with what V says, that apparently V can just decide you deserve to be antagonized over some shit that's not ever fucking important. And it's really fucking cringe.
I am the leader of Hot Springs Arena, Chaosaurus! A challenger? I can smell Chaos Kitty's scent on you.
No, it's not possible. I took a bath.
Oh, splendid! I can see the battle hunger burning within your bones. But first things first, as the leader of... The first is weaklings. Fighting them, the second is arrogant Ha! You're a fight.
Here's where the story tries to tell you about fusing. Oh, that's fun. It's going to forcibly make me do a fusion. Wow. Yay! Right back to where I came from, I guess. I have no clue what's going on, but I'm sure I'll piece it together while you're talking. That's how we usually do it here. I don't know about you, chat, but I just don't like that energy around what V2ing is becoming and has become. Certainly with the story on Bao the Whale, looking into that particular drama fire and hot mess, I am not a fan of the fact that the VTubing scene, what originally was supposed to be a way for people who didn't want to be on camera that way, to be able to have the dignity and decency to be a part of a scene, build something for themselves, have fun amongst themselves, has instead become the source of nepotism. Endless nepotism. And effectively yucking the yums out of the fun of content. Seemingly to the lack in energy of anything particularly viable for entertainment. And certain individuals deciding that that was the best way forward with the majority of the content that a person could have had as entertainment on any platform. It is more constant on Twitch than it is on YouTube or on Kick, assuming that there are any VTubers actually using Kick actively. It's much like the opinion of Tectone, right? If Tectone is an example of someone that is very, very aggressive and very, very annoying when it comes to getting them involved in actual content creation with other people and not just particularly only invested and involved in and of themselves. It is the energy of people like Bao the Whale and also Cinder and the rest of those attention-seeking girls and guys. But it's been a while since we've seen an actual guy be involved in it, except for like the sex fest ones. And those stories are open and shut. And there's no debate about those. The particular annoyance that I had doing coverage of Bao the Whale's content, it is so avoidable. It's so avoidable. It is so avoidable that they're only allowed to get away with this because it is the female users. I don't know what it is. I think it's like the power of penis mightier. That there are that many simps that they will go along with this for the most part. Because the conversation basically was a idea that because she felt some type of way, Bao could try to spin a narrative that had to be disproven by the company that specializes in art creativity and creation in order for people to realize the shit that she was saying was wholly inaccurate. I don't feel like that should have been the cycle. I don't feel like that should have been the factor that we were dealing with. But unfortunately, that was the factor that we were dealing with. We had to deal with a news cycle that should have been very simple, very easy, open and shut. That was instead not. Because there were that many simps that just took her for her word and said, it is like this. And then made it everybody else's problem with the fact that they then chose to say men are not allowed to have an opinion for whatever fucking reason that they thought was sensible. On top of the story spinning out of control to the degree of it then becoming the focus of the haves and the have-nots between the popular streamers. It then required the entirety of the VTubing sphere to basically come together to solve the problem as a group, rather than this being something that should have been obvious to anyone who was paying attention to the details. Because there were that many people who were getting invested and involved without actually doing any research on the topic. And then they tried to make it into like a, well yeah, but they don't like VTubers at all. And it's like, no, they don't like when VTubers do this shit. Because then it becomes a high school experience. A never-ending high school situation, no different than the flesh tubers with people like Cutie Cinderella. The entire reason that the VTubing scene is supposed to exist was to be a way to leave that cycle. And it just ended up being that same cycle. Then the drama itself extending until everything became a never-ending hodgepodge of the same level of intrigue, until eventually it kicked itself all the way up the spear that everybody had to hear about it, even if they were not actively paying attention to what was going on with these particular dramas and things. It was concepts, literal concepts of, oh, I know that she's also trying to get money from this. I know that she's trying to get attention off this. But let me just make her a little bit more famous and a little bit more popular to try to speak on this subject matter. I know that I, as a simp, or I, as a non-content creator, am trying to speak on something, but I just feel like I have to get involved and make money off of it. And if I don't, I feel like I'm losing something. I don't get that. I don't understand that. Maybe it's because I'm a content creator, and it's different from where I'm looking at it from. Maybe my standpoint is different in the fact that I don't see how people could just keep supporting an individual who's basically saying, yeah, and my simps will never, they'll never push back against me, and they'll never prove me wrong, and they'll never contradict me. I guess I'm just different. That I can't see how people would be like, oh, she's bragging about the fact that she can get away with it because the rest of you will never confront her about it. And it's like, yep, and we never will. Huh? What do you mean? What do you mean it never will? It's like if somebody were to brag as a political representative saying, my constituents will never... Well, I guess that actually did happen too with fucking Momdi in New York City. I have never seen a person actively brag and say, yes, this person will actively let me get away with doing whatever I want to them because they're a fucking simp, they're a pay pig, they're a loser, and they will just let me do whatever I want to them, and they'll never fight back. I can't believe that there were people that actively allow that to happen and were like, yeah, but she's my favorite of she can do it because she's special. Is this truly the power that being in a relationship does to me? I'm immune to this level of simpery? I guess that's really the takeaway, honestly. You think that would be like an open shut case, but it's for me it's a sheet. It's a bit of shita. It's a bit of shit. Because it should take a lot less actually to piss a lot of people off. Especially when you're looking at that as like a comparison between Miskiff, Bow the Whale, and a couple of the content creators that are still stuck inside of the October 7th in the never-ending drama cycle of EHD. Because the EHD content, ignoring the shit that involves Core World Happy Mind, you've got people that are trying to put their energy and their stake into the cycle of material.
Did you hear that?
But the material cycle and its material efforts on the rest of the subject matter that could be relative to the discussions that you could then have about October 7th. So you can make the exact same opinions about that as you could Hassan Piker's fans. Wow, I can't believe they were all for supporting this guy up until the point where they saw Kaya get hurt on camera, and that he would then lie about it endlessly, and that was the point where they all decided they were going to no longer stand this problem. I can't believe that that's the point that it came to, and yet it's the exact same shit. Maybe this is a Twitch factor. Maybe this is a Twitch thing. I highly doubt that it's a Twitch thing, because then it wouldn't be something that is so pervasive across the majority of the material and content. But that is actively how it worked out. That is actively how it went down. The VTubers and the VTubing concept had a lot different of a consequence and fallout than the FleshTuber shit. And maybe it's because the idea there is that with the IRL streamers, the FleshTubers, the normal broadcasters, the Twitch thoughts, the whatever, that cycle of the internet is less bought in to most of the drama than others would be involved in. But it's just flabbergasting, I guess. It's just flabbergasting to me. Because it means it'd be so easy for them to be able to just not recognize the red fucking flags in general. I remember when it was the time of Smug Rocco and Ian Miles Strong that it was a lot easier to foretell this kind of problem. It was a lot easier to tell who was grifting and who was not. Who was getting easy money and who was not. Hi, horror. Currently talking about By the Whale. It was a lot easier for them to be involved and to be attentive of the fact that you had a bunch of fucking internet individuals choosing to make a story about themselves than not. But the fact of the matter is that nowadays it's impossible to tell who is and who isn't. Simply because since there are so many people that just simply ignore things because it's just not on their radar, and they only really clip in if it got really interesting and really funny, I guess it's just amongst people like ourselves that will notice this. So, like, assuming that let's take, for example, Leadhead, right? Leadhead does something crazy. Yay. Symbiosis is level 5. So, Leadhead does something crazy, and does something fucking stupid. We all hear about it, because crazy person doing something crazy, and they have little to no shame about the fact that they're behaving in such a crazy manner, where everybody has to hear and see about it. Creates a never-ending drama cycle, where they're not able to respond to what's being said, and much in the fashion that we usually are expectant of people, who, especially if they happen to have gone down the transgender pipeline. It becomes various levels of, I was groomed, I was harassed, I was antagonized, these people are not of my community, they shouldn't be speaking about me, they shouldn't be talking about me. But the only time that they can make money is when other people are paying attention to and talking about them. In the VTuber scene, these controversies basically don't exist to most of those fans. The person can consume their content, they can be in their content, they could actively take a part of the content that they are putting out on a regular basis, and somehow the greater controversy evades them. It dodges them. It misses them. I remember back, I don't even remember the fucking year anymore. I remember back when Scooch and his girlfriend Rebecca, known as Reb, Serenade? Yeah, it's pronounced Serenade, but spelled Serinade, were out there embarrassing themselves over Seraphine. Because my girlfriend experience is different. I actually like talking to my to my simps that give me money. And it's like, is that really the convenience? Is that really supposed to get them to give you money? I actually like talking to my simps, even though I have a whole ass man. Because besides the obvious funny thing, for the people who actually care about League of Legends, the fact that you don't hear about Scooch anymore. You don't see Scooch going viral anymore. You don't see him doing that, oh, that's a spicy titty pic you posted there, baby. Oh! You don't see him doing that anymore. And that's because then they fell off. I'm pretty sure he is still hard stuck in gold. Only, like, the other day did I see her making yet another one of the thirst trap posts. And it happened to be over the same thing that most cosplayers thirst trap over. Which specifically, I guess, in the zeitgeist right now, is Blonde Blazer versus Invisigal. Because you motherfuckers simp for Dispatch like nobody's fucking business, bro. I suppose the Date Everything track became boring to those people and they moved on to the next game. Tide goes in, tide goes out. Again. But I have never seen people actively hear somebody tell them to their face, yes, and I'm going to use those people as a way to get one over on y'all. And people actively bought for that. That's the part that I'm stuck on. Because the biggest part of the Battle of the Whale situation wasn't the fact that angry woman said something and then is now angry that people are not letting that shit slide. That's not the part that got me. The part that gets me is she actively called for a harassment campaign against a person who actively said the same thing she then agreed with, and everybody just forgot the fact that they harassed that person on her behalf. And then when that person was then brought to a testament, when Bao was then told, you can't do that, it's not the one VTuber that stops it. It's not the two VTubers that stop it. It's not the group of VTubers that stop it. It's not the many content creators from every walk of life that stops it. It's the fact that it happened to get wild enough that when they made a lie that was so big, but so small enough that it could have been passed over, the website Skeb has to be the one to say, no, you was a lying pussy. That's how it stops. Nobody else could see through this shit. It had to be Skeb. And then when the winds changed, that's when people were like, I don't know about all this. The murder weapon was just in your hand. You all have blood on your hands. What do you mean?
Did you hear that?
But again, maybe I'm the weird one. Maybe I'm the weird one. Perhaps I am the weird one and I don't understand. I guess not. In which case, if you think you have an opinion that you can get me to understand this, !Yap-In, go to the Discord server, stand by and wait, and we will see if we can have a conversation about it. Moving on, though. Is there any person right now that is excited about any particular video game that is supposed to be coming out within the next few months? Because I know that there are some titles that are going to be coming out soon. And those titles I am definitely waiting for and looking forward to, as well as some of the titles that have recently released. One of the ones that I happen to have been looking at is Arc Raiders. However, I give myself pregnant pause looking at Arc Raiders. Not because it is a game that people are featuring as a Battle Royale, but it's going through the same, what's the nice word for this? the same kind of maturity cycle as would be for Helldivers, which is basically there's a cultural problem with that game. It has a streamer problem and it has a culture problem. The people that are trying to play Arc Raiders are trying to play the game for explicitly different reasons than everybody else that could be playing Arc Raiders. And the growth cycle that it currently is experiencing because of that intrigue is a very, very interesting, it's very interesting development on the idea of what we would normally come to expect for and from those particular types of audiences of video games. Because ironically enough, in this one, the drama appears to be that the streamer mentality has ruined the game's investment for those people coming in. With most of the people trying to get into Arc Raiders. There's three lines of conversation. The most interesting two relate back to the third one. Arc Raiders, if one wanted to say that Helldivers 2 is, in my words, is a tabletop RPG that is disguised as an action movie, that is disguised as a third-person extraction shooter, it appears to me that the complaint that others are having about their experience in Arc Raiders is that it plays and feels more like a game coefficient, a friendship game coefficient that is not quite anywhere near the normal conversations you could have about slop tubers or about friend slop. So, Megabonk, right? Megabonk, Repo, all of the couch co-op and or group lobby fun experiences where it is all about the crazy shit that happens in the game and about the quote fun you're having with people playing the game as a group. It appears that the dueling narratives between these two groups is that they hate and do not like the fact that their gameplay is effectively ruined by streamers that are out for blood. This is the first narrative. They do not like that there are streamers that instead of actually trying to have fun playing the game, are treating it like everything that they've already done for the majority of their career. So, streamers like Shroud go into trio squads in Arc Raiders, and they treat it like it's a battle royale. So, this game is one part looting, another part shooting. It's not a looter shooter, it's a scavenger. You have to scavenge, loot, breach, search, and extract. It has elements of a horror game, because the neutral, or rather, always against you enemy faction of the enemy arcs are basically autonomous AI-controlled robots. And these autonomous AI-controlled robots are always going to be a factor that controls whether or not you can have a safe extraction or not safe extraction. But they are also enemies that if you kill them, they give you loot. So, it's strangely an upgrade-a-thon. You have to explore and scavenge, just like you would in something like, say, Ball Pit, or any other game like that. I wouldn't say necessarily similar to Once Human, but if you wanted to say, like, a Battle Royale where you actually have to build and scale your account outside of the gameplay, yeah. You have to explore the game world, find loot, and also fight arcs. But around every corner, and even in your own, in other squads, there is an opportunity and chance where you're going to get attacked by players that are going to take advantage of you at your moments of weakness and betray you and or kill you. Because ideally, groups can be able to extract together and benefit from the loot system. Because it's not like there is a headhunter system. It's not like PvP that you would expect in something like, say, old school RuneScape, where the draw of PvP is the PvP experience itself, and also in a game mode like Last Man Standing, should you perform well in PvP, you then get a point system that allows you to then cash it out to receive equipment and items. It's not like that. There is no benefit to killing other people other than the idea of the expectancy of being able to take their loot. And this has then opened up the second line of conversation, which is that players are tired of being antagonized by streamers that are forcing interactions with them. And what they have labeled as the forcing of the interaction is they are tired of being antagonized by streamers who specifically are going around to play like murder hobos. So the idea of hunting the player on camera, killing that player on camera, antagonizing that player on camera, for the sole benefit of ruining their game experience because they want to hear you squeal. I ironically think about this when I think about this in terms of another game mode that would that'd be likened to this, which would be the Elden Ring style of PvP in a Souls-like. In the original Dark Souls, the idea that gets closest to this is Gravelording. You invade a player's world and you Gravelord them. If you kill them, they then have a world that is savaged by harder and difficult monsters until they're able to do away with the Gravelord's curse. It is a level beyond just killing them and setting back their progress. You are actively putting onto them a greater consequence than what would have been normal from just simply killing them, resetting them, taking their loot, and sending them back to the beginning of a lobby. But because it's not an actual battle royale, where everybody starts on zero and the only goal that you have is to survive the longest, to then be victory number one royale, winner winner chicken dinner, you are actually expected to get to a point where your content in the game loop, if you were to have a completely perfect run, you never took in damage, you never experienced consequences, you never got fucked over, was about what I heard and saw was 60 to 70 hours of gameplay. I've got mutuals like Sophia Norwood's playing it. I've seen other mutuals like Cassie playing it. I've seen some of my own favorite streamers that I like watching playing it. I don't have money to afford it. Not at this time. Maybe Christmas. Who knows? I've seen plenty of players across the spectrum all get involved in this game. And it appears that that is the consistent takeaway. You're either one of the murder hobos, or you're not. Now, you might notice that I said trios, right? I said there's two examples. Solos and trios. In trios, this is pretty much the modus operandi, right? But fortunately, this is not where majority of the people are actually experiencing the content. They're going into solos. And this is where the actual experience comes from. They go into solos, and there are people that are actively creating an entire dynasty of content about the fact that they do not like the fact that people are playing like murder hobos, when the intention is supposed to be jolly cooperation. So much like in Helldivers 2, you come across a random player that wants to try and kill you, and they effectively constantly create a cycle of involvement where they only are interested in trying to piss you off. And it's like, bro, I didn't come here for that. I came here to try to be a part of the content, and I am trying to have fun on a day off of work. And the response is, no, brother, I came to kill you. Looting? No, I take your loot. This has become an actual drama cycle. Yay, it's time to shake our asses. It has become a drama cycle where the investment and involvement of most of the people playing has been specifically to be a part of that zeitgeist, where they are then creating that emotional reaction and that psychological reactant in the players to make them angry and pissed off. So as I go to the Island Dance Party, where we shake our asses like the fine shits almost all of the male and female characters are being played as, let me go pull up this example from you on the side, because I actually have something from good old Ronnie that came up in the middle of me making that content the other day. Actually, sound effect of the bike's gonna throw me off, but whatever. Going down, going down, going down, going down. Here we go.
If you play Ark...
So, basically, the content cycle looks something like this. That one might be too small. You might have to use this one. Why does it look like that? That's not supposed to look like that. It's still on that one, that's why. The conversation basically looks like this.
Raiders, please stop killing the first people you see.
Buddy, me dumping this mag into your body is me communicating.
Raiders who hunt raiders, they're chaos. They're unpredictable.
I'm blocking. And on top of that, I'm teabagging you and taking every single piece of loot you have.
Enough! But here are 3 criticisms.
So, like I said in my video about the grifters of Yote, as I've always had as the case example, especially using people like Rondell, Ronnie is a case example of exactly the influencer that basically jumps in on the topic and effectively becomes a part of the news cycle that then creates this energy about the conversation that isn't actually happening based on what is actually the important part of this conversation. Ronnie doesn't have anything to say about the actual conversation. He's just like, all these people complaining about the game. But here's the thing about that, right? Because I've actually been looking at some of the content of one of the particular people that was put in this clip here. His name is Derek. He is a black therapist that specializes in healing childhood trauma. His account is called The Mindful Gamer. And he actually lays out his entire conversation and his entire mindset about how he feels about this. Because it is very clear that the solos versus group mindset is to itself the capacity of a lot of social annoyance. Like, this is one of the parts of the conversation that cannot be ignored. This is not ignorable. You cannot get away from this side of the conversation if you help it. Can I open my right eye now? No? My right eye's not fully awake yet? Okay, game. It is one of the parts of the conversation that are ignorable to the greater controversy in conversation that is responsible, nice wipeout, that is responsible for people's inability to actually become a part of the conversation as a whole. Because it is constantly being relayed that the people that are talking about this are whining, complaining, bitching, crying, seething, malding, coping, as always usually is the conversation. Literally on Hellwhiners 2, on that Carl at Home edit that was done by Callum, somebody in the comment section went there to try to appropriate and claim that I'm just calling for there to be no proper changes made to the game, and that therefore I deserve the game to die. I challenged that person to, of course, go into the server, and then go onto Yap-In and make a case, and they did not do that. This is one of those situations. If you talk, if you have a discussion, if you try to explain your point, you are malding, seething, coping, and the conversation just becomes name-calling. Just endless, ceaselessly, unnecessary name-calling. However, if I can get to a point where I can drive on the goddamn plateau and not constantly get launched by the bombs. The general idea of the conversation goes a little bit differently when you really think about it. And again, I'll show you once I'm done with the island party, but I got 4 fucking minutes here to catch up here to the bus. For the most part, all of them have different opinions. But basically, there are several different ones here. So the first one is, hey guys, can we please play the game the way it's intended to be played? Where it's not all the players versus each other, and then there's like robots there, and you think that the gameplay loop is to murder other people? Like, there's loot in those bots. You can loot those bots, and those bots having loot directly controls whether or not you can be able to get your material and get your content, and then be able to upgrade your environments. Guys, you're actively fucking each other over when we could all win. We could all benefit. We could all make opportunities off this content. But you guys just keep murdering people. Why do you keep murdering people? Nice. Why do you keep murdering people and cause them this emotional antagonism and anxiety? And also, just before we get to that part, you can look here on the side, and you can see this content right here. Comment section. Hey, careful. Mindful Gamer's clip here is way out of context. Ronell laughs and says, It makes sense why people took that as him taking down people who play PvP, because he also made posts saying it's a social experiment, and if you kill people in this game, you have to look at how you react in real life. His recent post actually explains he didn't mean it when he said those things in that way. And I'm like, sure, he could have worded it better, but I've been following him long enough to know that stance didn't make sense to his normal views, and I'm 99% certain that I'm AUHD, and I have, so I get not being able to play, being able to convey things the way they mean. And he was talking down on Roman for taking on the PvE-centric players. That's valid. If you talk down on someone like Roman did, expect to be talked down to in return like Mindful Gamer did. Which, all of these clips
You
here,
play Arc Raiders,
Hydra amazing,
please stop killing the first people you see.
Buddy, me dumping this mag into your
Droman,
body is me communicating.
Raiders who hunt raiders, they're chaos. They're
Mindful Gamer,
unpredictable.
and See Daddy Chill are all videos reacting to the opinions that other people had. They're not responding and talking out of nowhere and just mauling. They are having an ongoing conversation that's a back and forth between them, because they're not actually addressing the things that are being said. And Ronell here is demonstrating that inability to communicate because he's not interested on talking about that. As when you scroll over, you then see one of the examples from 2 days ago. So to really explain it, I have to go back to the beginning of what Derek was saying, which is, I think here? Yeah, about around here. I think it starts specifically with like, why do you play games that way? Why everyone in extraction shooters shoot first? Tryhard mentality, the code of conduct, and blah 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 blah. So right around here.
The behavior of people in extraction shooters is fascinating to me. A social experiment proving that most people are just looking for a reason to indulge in the darkness they don't want to bring to light. I'm new to the genre. Gear up, get loot, extract safely before the time runs out or you're killed. I've heard everything from people role-playing as medics to shoot on sight and trust no one. I often wonder why I can't just play that latter role. I mean, I know why. It feels bad. I wouldn't want someone to do that to me, but at the same time, it's just a game. People tell me I'm too sensitive for the genre, that I die immediately in a real apocalypse, that the first rule is to trust no one. Interestingly enough, I don't trust many people. As a content creator, one who's been uncomfortably successful in the past and uncomfortably failing in the present, I've seen all the ways that people show up, and most people believe they're fundamentally good, and I know otherwise. All of us have dark urges. We can be vile, judgmental, selfish, self-absorbed. Some of us are quick to anger. But mostly, there's a level of authenticity that most people will never express simply because they'll be judged for it. Sort of what I experienced when I said, hey, everyone, maybe in an extraction shooter, we should consider communicating instead of shooting on sight. We judge others for choices we say we wouldn't make, but I've I've come to learn that if you grew up the same way they did, so would you. I don't know how one might have to grow up to be someone who finds joy in taking from another, and by the same token, I don't know what it's like to have that happen and think, well, I deserved it. But here's what I think happened with extraction shooters. Somewhere along the line, a new player decided to trust someone in an extraction shooter. Maybe they were having fun. Maybe they'd had a good day. Maybe they just wanted to be nice for a moment. They trusted, and then they lost everything. They stared at that death screen knowing they only had themselves to blame. And instead of learning, I need to trust the right people, or I need to verify that trust, they learned the wrong lesson. I should trust no one. They became yet another convert to the world of not giving a damn. Hurt people hurt people. Now the game is full of people protecting themselves from the pain they experience by inflicting it on others first. They justify it with the game incentivizes it, or it's just how these games are played. The same kind of reasoning people use for overconsumption, isolationism, and every other self-protective behavior that makes the world make sense. When it comes to extraction shooters, I have more respect for the people who are honest about why they hunt others. They want loot. Simple. The people that scare me are those lying to themselves about why they do it. The ones who need moral justification for playing a video game the way that protects them from ever feeling vulnerable again. Maybe I don't want to be the villain because I'd be too good at it. It would really be easy. Build trust with someone, start with no weapons, use language. Hey man, I'm new to this game. Would you mind helping me out? It's been a really rough day. I'm just looking for an easy extraction. I just found this area with crazy loot, and if you watch my back, we can both get it. I know for a fact that if someone said those things to me, I would bend over backwards to help, which is exactly why I don't want to be the person who weaponizes that. Maybe I'm so against being the villain because deep down, I know I could be one. At the end of the day, though, it's a video game. Video games have rules, win conditions, and tools to achieve those conditions. The question isn't whether you can shoot on sight. The question is, what does choosing to do that say about what you learn to protect yourself from? Hurt people, and extraction shooters have become a perfect ecosystem for that cycle to perpetuate itself. New players get hurt, learn to hurt others first, and the genre becomes exactly what everyone says it has to be. But maybe it doesn't have to be that way. A simple "why should I trust you" would suffice. If they give you any answer other than "you shouldn't," then blast them back to the drawing board. Or maybe we should all assume that everyone is hostile and reject cooperation entirely. Protect new players from being hurt the same way we were, in a way gamers have way too much pride to acknowledge. Or maybe, just maybe, we could choose differently.
So, effectively, he starts this out from a position where he is talking on the fact that eventually, somewhere down the line, and this pretty much reflects the conversation that I've had with Horror when we talked about the types of games that we play and whether or not we like getting involved in those types of shit. It is the kind of experience where basically everybody expects a certain person to play the game a certain way, and that the game should be played in a certain way. And if you don't play it that way, you're playing incorrectly, and you're not monetizing everything that you possibly should be doing at the same time that the gameplay is telling you that you should do this. Or rather, the players in the community and in the audience of it are saying that you should. This creates a feedback loop that actually causes a lot of people to not engage in multiplayer. For me, this is exactly the explanation that I have about why I don't like playing friend slop games. And it's also why I don't like people treating certain games that are obviously not friend slop games as friend slop games. When someone takes advantage of you and tries to make you into content, rather than including you in the material of the content, it feels like a choice that is intentionally made to piss you off. And it's made to piss you off as though it is a fun thing to be involved in, rather than an unfun thing to be involved in. And it is really, really, really disinteresting to play a game like Repo with a group of people, not random strangers, but supposed community members from another community, and knowing that you're new, they explicitly go out of their way to victimize you. And then say, well, bro, this is just how the game's played. We're just having fun. It's just a game, bro. Bro, it's not serious. It's just a game. It's just a game, bro. Why are you being so mad? Why are you crybaby? It's just a game. When the problem has nothing to do with the gameplay, it had to do with the situations and the social consequences they could put you in. There have been plenty of games that I have played where I have been the player that stops somebody's content and progress. Hell, In the content that I literally put out for Grifters of Yote, one of the clips was me actively taking advantage of and punishing the players that were trying to get their high-level friends to cheese them through the gameplay by them trying to abuse bugs. And me punishing them by standing between them and the goals they were trying to get to, which was trying to twink them into being able to have their own Moonveil sword without actually having to earn it, which is only really possible if they're playing in a large group. It is very obvious. It is very easy to tell. It is very simple. Not difficult to get. And I played the game as it was meant to be played. It just so happened to be that I was better and I was more prepared than those other players. They were not able to do anything to me because I was aware of the tricks and the traps. Because I had learned from either it being done to me or me being able to win against those players in that fashion where I could not get tricked by things that would have been common for people to use against you. So, bait, examples of people trying to take advantage of your content, on trying to take advantage of your material. All that kind of shit and more ended up being the backbone upon which the whole experience faltered for those players. Because at the time, in context, those players that were effectively at the mercy of that gameplay experience, those players were trying to abuse a bug where if you summon and you use spells before a person connects to the session, you could have a infinite one-shot ability that the invader could not see, could not counter against, and would immediately kill them. They couldn't tell that the spell was there. And so what players started doing is we started going into the mission with a carry and retaliation buckler shield. The purposes of a buckler shield still carried the original frames of retaliation that a normal shield parry would not have. So we had the best form of parry in the game, which we're using specifically because we are the ones that are going to be capable of actually hitting our parries. But more importantly, it has the ability that when it is used with a spell that is intended to kill you in this way, it would absorb the magic spell and reflect the magic back at the person. That's the purpose of carrying retaliation. By using the shield, we protected ourselves against these people that were trying to bug abuse this as a way to try and carry and shield reflect their own spells to get a unfair victory over us that was deeply and entirely inconsistent to actual skill. They weren't really playing the game. They weren't trying to beat us in PvP. They weren't trying to have fun exploring. They specifically were trying to shepherd players into cheese. And players like myself just simply saying, nope, you're going to have to earn it. You're going to have to fight me. Entirely valid. Entirely normal. Entirely valid. Doesn't require taunting the fuck out of them. Only a couple people, I promise. Only a couple, I promise. But it is the comparative difference between that and what kept happening. Which is that what kept happening is that users kept going out of their way to try to hide that they were doing this. To the point that they started punishing people for trying to trick people using this technology. If a user was actively trying to use this form of carrion retaliation exploit until they were able to finally fix and patch it and make it so that it did not just outright kill a player with infinite damage, these players were getting banned for it. And so basically, the people who were saying, bro, this is just how the game's played, this is just what you should do, they didn't have a response to normal people like myself asking them, but why are you doing this? Isn't the game less fun like this, bro? That was not something that they could, that's not something they could respond to. And so, it became very clear that the way that they were trying to engage in the content was different than actually trying to, like, engage in the content. Because losing against somebody who's just better than you is different than losing because they actively are cheating. Or they are trying to use an exploit in PvP that, as many people would say in PvM, which is to say in single-player content, why does it matter? It's my game, I play it the way that I want. This mentality has now found itself into multiplayer games, and it's found itself into the Battle Royale genre. And it's just a part of the culture now. And this was what he was responding back to. He has more examples of this, which I want to show you. Because I think the best person who could articulate the point that he was making is Derek. So I'm simply just going to use Derek as the example of this.
I called you a villain. I was wrong. You're not a villain. You're just wounded. I said you were selfish, that you were ruining extraction shooters, but what I should have done is ask you a question. What happened? Because I've come to learn that many of you started out the same way when you played, excited to jump into a new world, get your loot, and leave. Perhaps on the way you made a friend. They seemed nice at first, offered to help you, maybe even gave you a really cool gun. And then at some point, they dropped an ominous one-liner and shot you. Took everything. You aren't bad people, you've just had your trust broken. And to make it deeper, you play video games to escape. It must have really sucked to be betrayed in the same way your so-called friends, partner, or even life had done before. You came to games to get away from that, and it followed you there too. So shooting first isn't just a valid gameplay strategy. It's a protective mechanism so you never have to feel what it's like to have your vulnerability taken advantage of again. That makes sense. I get it now. Some of you will never change this playstyle, and I'm sorry for judging you. But to everyone else, the ones who remember what it felt like to be excited and trusting before someone took that away from you, you have a choice. You can either continue this cycle or break it. There'll be many new players coming to our creators when it releases, players who are just as excited and just as naive as you were when you first started. There's a lesson that they need to learn, and although you didn't get to choose how you learned it, you can choose how you teach it. Are you going to befriend people and shoot them in the back, party up with them and heal your own trauma as you watch them open up, have fun with you, share with you, observe the way they behave when they find good loot, and tell you about it excitedly, all the while knowing that you're going to take it away? Was that really healing? Or is that just passing the wound forward? Or are you going to teach them the ropes? Talk to them about trust. Help prepare them for the gaming world ahead. Show them that not everyone who offers help is lying. That cooperation is possible if you're smart about it. You didn't choose to have that experience, and I know it hurts you, even though the gaming community is too toxic to let you really talk about it. But you might be someone's introduction to the genre. You might be the reason they become a fan for life, or the reason they quit and never come back. Which option are you going to choose? Are you going to be the person who got hurt and decided to hurt others? Or are you going to be the person who got hurt and decided no one else should feel that way? The first option is easier. The second option is harder, but only one of them breaks the cycle. I'm building the mindful game for people who choose that second option, for the people who got betrayed and decided to be better instead of bitter, for the people who understand that how we play says something about who we are and who we want to become. If that's you.
Now what does that sound like, chat? Does that sound like every single time I've said that the way you play games is the way you act in life? I do believe it is. I do believe it is. Damn, that's crazy. Crazy level of inspirational work. Generational levels of work.
It's you, I see you, and I'm sorry I called you a villain before I understood your story. I called you a villain. I was wrong. You're not a villain. You're just wounded. I said you were selfish, that you were ruining extraction shooters, but what I should have done is ask you a question. What happened? Because I've come to learn that many of you started out the same way when you played, excited to jump into a new world, get your loot, and leave. Perhaps on the way you made a friend. They seemed nice at first, offered to help you, maybe even gave you a really cool gun. And then at some point,
Playing the same one again.
the behavior of people I called. Alright, let's try this a different way since y'all.
Here then comes a response of all of the people who are then telling them, bro, why don't you
Seem to
just
be
play
purpose-
Helldivers? Bro, why don't you just play Helldivers? See, if I click on this, does it take me to the... No, it does not.
Alright, let's try this a different.
It'd only do this if I was on, the other platform. If I was doing it on my phone.
different way since y'all seem to be purposefully missing my point. If we got sent into a reality tomorrow where AI took over everything and the world was plunged into whatever it's going to be plunged into, on day one of that, would y'all behave the way that y'all behave in Arc Raiders if you're truly role-playing? Would y'all behave the way that y'all acted in that beta? That's all I'm asking. If you are a true gamer, okay, you really role-play this shit. You are a gamer that doesn't tell people that you meet for the first time that you play video games because you know how they gonna act because of the way that you get about them. Would you, on day one of the apocalypse, of the AI apocalypse, would you really go out and start shooting people? Really? Is that really what we would do? On day one? Not, and forget people, I'm asking you. You as an individual. On day one, is that the role you're gonna play? Really, in real life, would you do that? Because that's insane. It's absolutely insane. To treat everyone as if they're a threat on day one of the robot apocalypse, that's crazy. On day one of the zombie apocalypse, on day one of the revolution, on day one of the rapture, that's insane, and y'all need to heal. That's the point that I'm making. And I feel like if y'all would heal, some of y'all wouldn't be assholes, even if it is a PvPE game, because there are going to be some people who are on day one, the minute that it looks like society is collapsing, they're gonna start shooting people. On day one, just because they can and it's fun. I want guns to protect myself against them, and they have every right to play Arc Raiders. So if you were to just ask yourself, answer me that question. I'm tired of being mine. I've been nice. I've made an apology video, all that stuff, promoted it so that people could see it and all that. And I still got people telling me, just play Helldivers. I don't want to play Helldivers. I want to play Arc Raiders that has PvP in it. And I want to play with other people whose first thought isn't immediately, let's kill each other. I want to play with people that want to work together, and I think there would be more of them people if y'all would just shut up and listen to the point that I'm making. And look in the comments at the other people who agree. Make friends with them so that when the game comes out, you can have your group, and we can go out there in the wilderness and deal with all these other people who just want to shoot each other. I'm more immersed than you, is the point. This whole video series has been just my desire to end.
Hold that thought, Horror. He has a response for that. That's what's made this entire experience of me being able to research this fun. Merrick has a response for that. It's the reason why Ronell's clip is so out of context. Just wait! Just wait!
Influence as many people as possible so that we can make that group and go out and be, you know, imagine the stories that people are going to tell about our group. We were getting jumped, and then out of nowhere, these 3 people came. And not only did they defeat the people that were fighting us, they rezzed us, and then they gave us all of their loot, and they ran off into the background. Like, that story's gonna be badass on Reddit. I want it. And we can all have it. We just have to decide not to kill each other. We need to come up with like a universal symbol for hello. Your emote, that's what it is. Just start dancing, okay? Like, that's good.
There's been an actual joke about that too. That comes later.
What I'm gonna do is, I hope they sell emotes, and I'm gonna find the emote that is the weirdest or most something and like use it and have that mean that we're not gonna. Now what's gonna happen? How are we gonna deal with the people that's gonna take that emote and then use it and then start shooting people? That's the folks you gotta think about. You know what? I'll just keep it in my own community, the Church of New Game Plus. We'll have our own and we'll know, and then people can join, and then we'll tell them, and we'll just change the emote every week.
So, to the thing that Horde just said, he actually has an explanation for that. He has a reply for that specifically. Where is it? Right. Well, this is one of them, but this is not the one that I was specifically thinking of that I witnessed. I think it's this one, and then this one, and then a different one.
Solo queue is the cheat code to a better experience in Arc Raiders. Like, if you're somebody who's like, yeah, no, there's no reason for us to be shooting each other because of the AI, just play solo queue. And I promise you'll find other people who feel the same way. Like, people...
This is basically the standard of why I said that there's two different things. It's an extraction shooter. The one time he took someone prisoner, he was trying to lead us to a trap where all of his friends were going to take our loot. Word for word from Hubby. That's no problem. The conversation has been the difference between solo queue versus trio queue. The trio queue situation is where you get those other players that I was just showing you. So go back real quick to Ronell.
If you play Arc Raiders, please stop killing the first people.
There is me communicating. Mag into your...
D-Roman.
You're the 6th video...
If you
Fuck. I scroll too fast. D-Roman. D-R-O... I think it's right about here. Yes. So, if I can find it, it might be here in here for a bit, because this motherfucker does not label his shit like a normal human being. I don't know how the fuck people look at this shit on the fucking platform.
If you play Arc Raiders, please stop killing the first people you see.
Oh, brother, we got one.
We can work together. I've literally lost good-ass loot because people are too fucking shy.
Nope. Get over here! PvPvE. Do you know what that means? It means you are my opposition. You are the obstacle in my way. You are the reward. If you don't want to fight people, they make games for that. Go play a co-op shooter. Go play The Division, an MMO. You're playing a game where the objective is to get as much loot as you can and get out. You have loot. I take your loot. Mission accomplished. Oh, why can't we just communicate? Buddy, me dumping this mag into your body is me communicating. It's me saying, hey, what you got in that backpack, little guy? If that's how you want to play the game, that's fine. No one's gonna tell you how to have fun, but you're gonna criticize me? You're gonna...
Pause. The inherent nature of the back and forth between the sides that are talking is literally each other trying to criticize each other and telling them that the way that they played the game is an invalidation of each other's fun. I'm not speaking to the energy of either group specifically saying one is right and one is wrong, but this is the way that I see it here, based on the particular people who are forming up the sides. Roman is on one side, Merrick is on the other. I am the individual in the middle who's looking at both of them and deciding who seems to have the more common sense take in the situation based on what the discussion was. And the discussion was not, I don't like Arc Raiders, the game shouldn't have PvP, it shouldn't be this way. That's not what Merrick does. Gonna go find that one in a second. But what D. Roman is speaking on is something that isn't even to the energy of what they were talking about when they originally made that content, which was literally day one, new players are being taken advantage of by trios that are actively lying to them, tricking them, manipulating them, fucking them over, and then saying, "What's wrong, little buddy? That's how the game's played," and then making clips off of them, monetizing their reactions and their emotions, while also then telling their chat that it's in something entirely different. So the opinion there should be the Arc Raiders as a streamer problem video, which I had to bring that one up to explain that one. First, let this finish.
Gonna talk down to me for playing the game how it's intended? You want to walk around the map with your gun holstered talking about I'm friendly, and then get pissed off when someone bucks at you because you want to play a shooter like it's VR chat. No sir, you ain't built for the extraction shooters, my man. Give me a kiss though. Mwah.
If you play Arc Raiders, please stop killing the first...
So, Roman's not a really good example of the people, because he's going out there specifically looking to rage bait people. It is what it is. Like, it literally is what it is, unfortunately. You're not really going to change people's minds like Roman, because he's not interested in the conversation that they're having. However, on Unmindful Gamer, if I can find that fucking clip, because they're not labeled very well, I think it should be right here. Yes, this is one of the ones I was looking for.
If you play Arc Raiders, please stop.
Literally on the screen. Stop blaming the way people play. Play better.
Stop killing the first people you see.
Or you could level up your situational awareness, vibe checks, and play defensively so people don't get the jump on you. Look, I get it. If this were in universe and we were role-playing, I'd absolutely have a soapbox. I'd stand there before going topside shouting, the Ark is the enemy. We're all trying to get supplies, work together. And some people would be convinced and some people would point and laugh. Both responses are valid. It's okay for people to play extraction shooters by just shooting everyone, no matter how objectively single-minded and limited that playstyle is. And we need them to play that way, because without them, we get comfortable. We start running around the map willy-nilly, we stop being intentional, and the game loses its edge. Stop treating them as a limitation and treat them as a challenge. And look, if you don't want that risk, that's okay too. But these games die when they lose tension, and that tension can only come from playing against another human who might take everything from you. Yes, we all know that one gamer we cannot stand, whether it's Arc Raiders, GTA Online, Red Dead Online, Helldivers, or even Dungeons and Dragons. The person who just enjoys team deathmatch in a different game. They'll get bored eventually, but you still have to deal with people who've decided the best strategy is letting you do the work than stealing your stuff. So be prepared. Continue trying to influence people to play differently, build communities around cooperation, but know that for some people, this play style is so tied to their identity that they feel personally offended when you call it out. Just like they would in Speranza. You can ask them to stop, but they won't. So instead, get better at reading them. Get better at defending yourself. Get better at finding the people who will cooperate. That's the game within the game. And honestly, that's what makes it more interesting. GG's Arc Raiders, see you topside.
If you play Arc Raiders, please.
So, his response that he had to KP Chris was literally, bro, I'm not telling you that you can't have PvP, and I'm not molding about PvPM. It's hard for me to say PvP. PvPM is usually what people say it as, because it's mostly them trying to fight specifically only against the monsters. So, PvM, player versus monster. PvP, VM. They aren't trying to stop particular groups of people from having this gameplay experience and being involved in the gameplay experience that they are encouraging. What he's talking about is the fact that you cannot mold and complain about being hunted by those players and actively never getting the hands to fight back against them, which is, a little time, which is the problem that a lot of people have about the conversations that are going on. Because the clipping out of context then leads people to think that they are complaining about the fact they're getting killed, and not about the fact that there are people actively trying to sabotage these players, and then saying, bro, I should do this to all of them. They're free loot, buddy. Like, buddy, Broham, why are you mad, bro? Bro, you should have been better. You should have had hands. And the entire situation that they put them in is they said that they were going to teach them, and then they shot them in the back of the head. Just like when I was playing Friend Slop, in the form of Repo, with people inside of Dev's community for the first time that I ever got to play the game, because they bought me the copy of Repo to play it with them. A person decided to victimize me in a situation where when I was asking questions about the game and its lore and its backstory, they decided to put a fucking grenade in my hand, pull the trigger on that grenade, and thought that it was funny. And then that same player then rage quit the lobby because they got put in a situation where they were not able to win the particular map that we were exploring through. It was everything about exactly the layer of experience that most people come to be familiar with. I was more annoyed at this person deciding that that shit was cool, and then them immediately running away, than I was with the situation that they tried to put me into and how they reacted based on that behavior. Cringe, no matter what way you want to look at it, but at the end of the day, what should have mattered was the fun time experience, not my emotion. As kids could say, I'm not emotional about the situation. It's about how you behaved in the situation. You put me in a situation where I gotta act a certain way, and then you get mad when I played to that energy, and all of a sudden, what was yakking and what was funny and hacking and yakking has now become you being mad that the person who was supposed to be a free pick is no longer a free pick. So are they angry about the fact that the player played the game correctly, or are they angry about the fact that the player that was supposed to be a free pick fought back? It's one or the other. This is one of the problems that I have with the look into the conversation on these particular topics that has been interesting. Because every single time somebody has said, no, I am not angry about that. What I'm annoyed with is that you motherfuckers are lying to these people, and then you are setting them up a bomb, and then you are bragging about the fact that you are tricking these players, that then leads to those players then quitting the game permanently because they have no interest in dealing with that kind of personality. That's what people have an issue with. They have been consistently refusing to actually speak to that subject matter. Even going out of their way to basically just clip people's content inconsistently and or outright to put words in their mouth that they didn't say and then make their clip farm off of it. Which is funny because there's a thing going on in Marvel Rivals that includes Poppy Capone and an opinion that he said about women in gaming shouldn't have happened that has gotten him mocked by basically every single person in the world, including the voice of Marvel Rivals voice actor for Blade. But separate topic. Separate topic. Itchy. My face itchy. Newbies need to play with people that they know and know what they are getting into. It's fucking stupid to cry when you didn't know what you were getting into. I agree. And I feel like half of this problem is the reason why a lot of the games really should have people only getting involved with them if they have a group. And this is how I have taken the lesson from what I dealt with Once Human to instead not let that happen again. So, if I play a game like Arc Raiders, for example, I'm going to do it with people that I know, or I'm going to simply just go in and understand that it is what it is. And for the most part, that approach has always been successful for me. I have only ever been antagonized by somebody who decided to play the social circumstances and acted as though that they were, like, just looking at this guy getting angry about nothing. And, well, those of you who were there for that actually know what happened, and you know the context I'm talking about. Still, moving on. There is another opinion that Merrick had that I want to make sure I show you, so that I can then move the conversation forward. 1 second. It should be right here or something? I'm trying to find which one it is. I think it's this one. I'm not sure though. It might be this one.
All I'm trying to do is get some mechanical parts so I can upgrade my gunsmith. And here we have somebody that sits in the corner like a weirdo. Wait, look at him sitting in the corner like a weirdo waiting for people to show up. But the thing about these kind of players is they're not that smart. Why would you chase after me? I just knew he was going to chase after me. I knew he was just going to be just like one of the Arc robots and chase after me and not think about it and got blown up for his trouble. Y'all, please don't let gamers like this ruin this experience for you. And I get it. I hear him. Oh, we can play like this. Blah, blah, blah. It's extraction shooters. That's just how they're played. That's not true. I have had way more fun meeting up with random people and taking out the enemies than I ever have just going around shooting people for no reason.
Pause.
Now, if you want...
Pause, good on me. So, in this situation, he evolved his perspective and his take from this is how people behave and this is how I want to play the game to here's how I'm going to interact with this content to an entirely different perspective, which is here's how I'm going to engage on the material and how I'm going to engage on the subject matter, and it is no more deeper than how a person chooses to make it deep. And in this way, I can agree and I can disagree. I disagree heavily with this response that he just said. So when Merrick says this here,
I had way more fun meeting up with random people and taking out the enemies than I ever have just going around shooting people for no reason. Now, if you...
When I play a game like Elden Ring, and I am playing to be an invader, it depends on what it is I'm choosing to do. Sometimes, I want to give away the endless amount of supplies that are stockpiling themselves inside of my chests away to another player. So I will go into there, and I will be a peace wraith. I will not attack them until they attack me. If they attack me, I'm going to take them for everything they fucking have. Because if a wraith comes towards you, has no intentions on hitting you, is actively standing a distance away from you, drops an item on the ground, backs away from you, invites you to take the item, then uses one of the speaking stones to say hello, then waves, dances, and leaves, it is entirely different than if you went into an Elden Ring PvP experience specifically looking to murder the host. Especially if you were somebody who was, in the original Dark Souls, a part of the Cat Coven. Technically, anybody who walks into the goddamn Darkmoon Basin and Darkmoon Forest is your enemy. You're intended to get them out of the fucking forest. However, as has always been the case with yellows and reds and blues, and then occasionally some oranges, and I guess also purple, the thing that you're playing for is always going to be different than the thing that gets you involved in the game compared to the other guy you're talking to or you're fighting with. So, if you go into a PvP experience looking to have a PvE experience with people, you probably need to change your perspective. However, if you go in looking for a fight that's equal and even, you're the type of person that's like, yes, now a battle will be glorious, type shit, it's going to be annoying to you if somebody interrupts your honor duel with dishonorable ability. Because then, you have to then become good enough to beat those players that are going to try and bait you into being a farm trap. Because that became the constant in a thing like Dark Souls. With BRs, I think it's entirely different. Especially the type of BRs that are done from the lobby basis. There is no such thing as teaming with another person in a BR. Mainly because there can only be one winner. You're not allowed to climb up that way. And I think that kind of behavior is actually seen by the industry as a form of rank manipulation. Because effectively, you are not actually playing the game, you are win trading. You are not actually becoming a better player. You are just making a bet with the other person in the lobby to try and end as one of the top 3 or top 10. Which then would, that would de facto get you a higher rank. And that is inherently bullshit. Because you're not actually proving that you're a better player. You're just being carried. And in getting carried, you're then ruining the gameplay experience because you're not actually playing the game, you're cheesing. It's the same conversation had around Sekiro. In a single-player game, you're using a cheat engine to try and give yourself an unfair advantage to see the rest of the game. We would never accept this in that context. So why are there people that are trying to accept it in that context? The only answer that they can give, and that is given, is I play the way I want. This is what I like to do. And in that way, I can very much disagree with him. Like, I understand the point that he's trying to make, but just with that alone, it's like, no, I've had the most fun playing the game the way the game was intended, and then being able to prove that I deserved to be here. If a person tries to fuck me over, and I fuck them harder, and that person then suffers the consequences when they could have avoided that by simply not trying to fuck me in the ass, that's more fun to me than saying peace, 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 peace. Because sure, having fun with other people is fun. But also, if I wanted to have fun with other people having fun, I would go play Helldivers 2. Which, these arguments are not the same thing. That's why it's very easy for somebody to just immediately say that shit. It's a very corruptible copy pasta. Because you don't want to hear what the fuck they have to say. Especially if they're whining when they're doing it. The whining is the part that I think would make a lot of people want to disagree the most. Because if they don't have the context of knowing what's going on, they're going to have that response. That's how I feel about that. He has more to say, though.
You want to avoid that as much as you can. Just stay out of trios. Like, trios is where people who, they're not even playing the game. It's just Rust with a different skin to them. It's just...
Pause. This is then where the breakdown actually comes in. Because when you actually understand this is the point that Merrick's talking on, all of the other opinions that are being spoken on then stop functioning, right? If it's just Battle Royale, and you can say, I want your loot, I take your loot, I play it like Battle Royale, this is the way that I have the most fun, it's kind of hard to argue, okay, but are you really having the most fun stealing from other people? Because the answer every time is always going to be yes. You're not going to really change their mindset about how they're choosing to engage in the content that they're playing with other people. They will always call you a whiner, they're always going to antagonize you, they're always going to say this, that, and the third, and whatever. There's nothing you can do about that. However, it's the difference between, do you want to be the person who's going to have to always be schizophrenic? You're going to have to always concern yourself with whether or not you're truly by yourself and alone, and you're going to take pot shots and or take opportunistic shots and attempt to exploit every single player that you come across in perpetuity, versus what usually actually happens in those situations when you are playing a game like a BR in solo, which is that other players will eventually form up against you, and they're going to ask through vibe check whether or not you're friendly or not. And if you end up behaving in such a way that they can't trust you, you're going to be the one that gets killed for it. And there's no complaining about it, when it happens. You can't whine. You can't mold. You can't get upset. It's the game. That's the game that you said you wanted to play. You loved when the game was like this. So it's like, it's a very tongue-in-cheek way of going about it. I think it's a very fair way to look at it, especially if you use their own logic against them. The idea is that I'm supposed to play the game the way that I want. You play the game the way that you want. I want to play the game as a group of people that hunt down people like you. Are you mad about that? Too bad. Suck a dick. It follows through with logic. Like, I don't have to get really upset about it. I wouldn't have that much of an opinion. I simply am just looking at what these people are saying. Because if it is the case that someone is being like that, then you do have to get good. Because then if you're better, they can't exploit you anymore. It's one of the things that I actually covered with that story from that player that was being bullied in Tekken. All of those players coming together to try and gatekeep that guy from playing, and he's giving them the energy and interactions and the reactions that then make it fun for them to tease him, to bully him, to antagonize him. Removing that energy entirely, saying, you know, it is what it is, looking at the situation, getting better, and then dumpstering them because he eventually did hit the rank that he was trying to get and he was trying to reach for, that's what's supposed to matter at the end of the day. None of that other bullshit's supposed to fucking matter. If you give them that, if you let them yuck your yum, then of course, oops, that's too big a drop. If you let them yuck your yum, then of course they're going to get one up on you. Because what they're playing for is not the same thing you're playing for. I would have broken my back. The same thing that they're playing for is not the same thing that you're playing for. So you have to accept that they're not going to have a human interaction with you. They're not going to have human engagement with you. They're not going to give you the time of day. They're not going to allow you to have emotions. Your emotions are not going to be considered. They're going to treat you like you are a crazy person and or that you are a complainer, and they're going to behave the way they're going to behave no matter what the fuck you do. Then, moving on from there, should you choose to continue behaving the same way and you never adapt and you never change your mindset, your perspective, your approach, or any of that shit like that, then you're setting yourself up for a bad time and a bad experience every single time you do so. And then you can't blame them, you have to blame yourself. Because if you're not built for the experience, or you're not willing to adapt to the experience, then you just have to say that the game's not for you and you're not willing to deal with that. It's like being the little brother that complains when he gets beaten by the elder sibling. Like, you're not that good, get better. Then when you become better, they can either then say that they respect it, or you're going to find out that they liked being the better player because they loved having this thing over you. I experienced that with my own sibling. And, like, the thing at the end of the day is, these motherfuckers are not your family. These motherfuckers are not your family. You don't have to give a fuck about their opinions. It feels good to care about other people, but you don't have to care. These niggas don't know you. They don't know you. They don't know you, and they also don't like the idea of playing with other people. They don't want to be here the way that you think that they do. It's what makes a game like League toxic. Preferably. And realistically, this is the core of the concept of the argument. And I know this because this is the way that I looked at the game as coach. I want players to be better at the game. So if I kill somebody, like they take a shot at me, and I kill them in this BR, and I tell them, oh, well, look like we're going back to the lobby again, single player car on all platforms, and Carabao Major on Twitter, plug! And then they go to my stream and say, bro, how could you kill me? How could you kill me like that? I'm not going to say, bro, I'm sorry that I had to kill you, but you gave me no choice. If they put me in a situation where they had made me have to kill them, and tell them exactly that. Bro, I didn't want to have to kill you, but you gave me no choice. You were acting in a way that told me that I should shoot you in the head, and turns out I had to, because you were trying to fool me, and never get fooled again. Not this time, Satan. Versus antagonizing them on purpose and saying, yeah, I killed you, fuck nigga, what you gonna do about it? Because on one hand, the toxic side of that is going to create the negative feedback loop. Just like if I kill somebody and I'm better than them in League of Legends, if they get mad and say, your champion is cheap and it's bullshit and it's unfair and you didn't win because you're skilled and you're better than me, you won because you were being carried by your champion, it is my job to then tell them, no, I won because you kept giving me openings. And here's the reason why. when you gave me an opening. Here, you overstepped your boundary here, you're more focused on trying to hit me than on trying to farm. You picked a matchup that was already a hard loss, then you didn't play the matchup the way you should have. All of that conversation doesn't fucking happen. They're not interested in hearing about the reasons why they lost. They're interested in mauling at you. Or, if you are in the position of them, they're interested in yucking your yum and making fun of you and getting money out of that reaction cycle that you're with. All that shit together is what most people end up playing online video games for now. Especially if they happen to have some variation of PvP. They don't want to educate their rival or their opponent so that they can actually learn the weaknesses and become a more solid player, since the idea then would be, if I teach this person the things that make them weak, they can now become a strong player, and I can rely on them in the future should I face them as an opponent. That's not what most people get involved in it for. That's not what they do. Now I'm gonna let this finish playing.
It's not, they're not even playing what's going on. But on the single player, I've met a lot of people who are going about their day doing missions, doing the things you need to do. And like, it's just as simple, hey, don't shoot. And like, will some people turn around and shoot you in the back? Yeah, there's a few people out there that are like that. But for the most part, the people who are actually playing this game know that the AI is the enemy. That's who we're all supposed to be going against. And so it's us versus the environment. And that environment happens to include people who aren't interested in role playing. Like, they're just, there's just weirdo behavior. And I'm not saying you can't play that way. You could do that if you want to. But if you're gonna do it to me, you better be good. All I'm trying to do is get some mechanical parts.
So in this way, especially to, I guess, as a response for Merrick for Horror's husband, his response basically would be like, bro, I don't like playing that way in trios, so I play solo. And to that, okay, cool, great, each his own. Everybody wins. They have the experience that they have inside of solos, and they get to have that team experience. The people who want to play inside of trios get to have their game experience, and everybody wins. Except for the people who are dog shit and get completely fucking ass blasted. Then they don't win. Then they have to go on their journey of self-discovery and in-goodening. Or they continue being in shitting. One or the other. It's literally the best. The best that you could ask for. It is unfair. Maybe unfair is not the word I'm looking for. No, unfair is not the word I'm looking for in that sentence. It is... unrealistic is probably closer. A little bit cope, probably another. It is disproportionate, I would say. It is disproportionate to be in a game experience where you are effectively expecting people to truly get and understand what it is that they're trying to communicate. And it is effectively a back and forth between multiple sides that are not truly hearing each other out and seeing eye to eye. That then causes the gameplay experience to become stale and sour. That then makes people not want to be a part of it. I can understand where both sides are coming from, especially those that are being honest about it. However, it is dishonest for the people who are choosing to get engaged in the concept, such as the ones that I've already showed you. And I think, like, maybe the one other one I could, but I think I've done enough to explain this about this topic, that it is just that they're complaining and they have nothing to say. Because obviously, the problem that you'll have if a person is being taken advantage of on day one, and they're not actually learning how to be able to succeed at gameplay, to become capable of being good enough to defend themselves, how are they going to learn how to get better if they're getting shit on constantly? But they should have more things to say, and they should be more invested and involved, that they do not immediately just put all of that at the feet of everyone else and act as though there is no way for them or others to be able to understand what it is that they're trying to communicate about as a group. Oh boy, it's the dance party. I have to go. It should not be such a thing where it is always toxicity and then also molding. You can have two sides of both coins. And they can also have their fun separate from how the others do. Because you shouldn't take PvP out of this game, Arc Raiders. It would actually and unironically be bad if you did. It is bad to remove this level of gameplay from the content. Because it is disgustingly boring otherwise. And that's really what it is at the end of the day. In like a quote community sense. So that being said, pretty sure I believe that topic to death. Let me check in real quick with my woman, and I'm gonna get right back to y'all. Okay. So, outside of things like that, last thing I can say on it is that if you like playing VRs, you should let the game be what the game is. That's my take on it. You need to actually like play the game to understand what the game is supposed to be. And if you can't understand what the game is supposed to be because you're not actually deeply involved with the actual player base, and you keep confusing player base for community to the point where you start getting upset about shit, it is entirely the case that it's wild as fuck. So I think the one last one I could have is like,
there's a lot of people
here. Let me see if I can find this example. I think I have to get it from Nick Merckx. Yeah, there's a couple of them. So, I think this one, and this one.
Wait.
What's up, bro?
I'm friendly.
You're friendly? Yeah, well, I'm not. I'm not!
Okay, Nick.
Man, I'm sick of this. Everybody's all nice. Nice, friendly. That
The next day.
I'm nice. Wait, why did I... What's up, guys?
So, right here. This part right here. This is exactly what I was talking about. And it's also the point that, that Merrick was talking about. That pretty much everybody was trying to ignore. This was exactly the example that I was trying to look for and find. It is the opinion case that basically, on the subject matter of Arc Raiders, it has a streamer problem. The streamers are trying to monetize content out of the game by making arguments and online talking points out of something that it's not. Am I finally able to open my right eye? Can I see my right eye? No, I can't. They are trying to make the game into something that the game is not. And then they are getting mad that they're going viral with the takes that they're giving. And that they cannot get people that are easy kills anymore because people are aware of their behavior. and that their behavior is now coming back to haunt them. Yay. Let me let this clip finish playing, because there's another one.
Yes, sir. I come in peace. I come in peace.
To farm content.
Whoa! What the f? Damn. They might be onto me.
And like, I don't know what everybody else has to say to this right here, but like, this was the reason I had the opinion that I had about the content creators in Helldivers 2. And why I said what I said when I looked over that patch note situation and the conversation about the patch note situation. They're fully aware of what the fuck they're doing. They know the conversations that they're having are not legitimate and that they're trying to farm content. And then, immediately after being found out with the fact they were trying to farm content, this would be then what Nick Merckx then said next.
Where are my fellow prickly pear grinders? Wait. Chill. I need prickly pears. You there, bro?
Same.
Bro, I can't find any, man. How many do you have? Do you have a couple?
I don't have anything. I'm trying to find them.
They're big and orange. Good luck, bro. Happy Halloween. Did you just lie to me?
Damn, your aim is trash, bro.
I know you got those pears. I know you got those pears. Oh, it was a bad read. 10 push-ups. Oh, 10 push-ups. I feel horrible, bro. I thought I read him. I thought I read him.
Yes, baby. I'll be on Sunday second. So, ultimately, my takeaway from this, just as I did with the players that were just absolute trash dog water in Helldivers 2, is that a lot of people had a lot of big opinions about what they think the game should be and what the game is and what they think the gaming culture of it should be and is, but then ultimately don't actually have the hands or the mindset or the mentality or the energy or the know-it-all to truly get it to the core of what it's supposed to be. And then the entire conversation then becomes a moment for them to make it about themselves, which is what everybody did. That's what you saw there in the Ronell clip. Ronell putting out all these people and basically saying, these people don't have any opinions that are worth hearing. They're just whining, they're just complaining, they don't understand shit, they're not getting it, and blah, 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 blah. As far as I'm concerned, my fadeaway on that is the same that I've had in most situations. The game is what the game is. If the game is a PvP game, the game at its core is a PvP game. Whether you choose to play the PvP game in that way is up to you. Nobody can take that from you. Nobody can force you to do it that way. However, you can then not go on to the internet.com and then get mad as fuck when you get taken for everything because you trusted the wrong person. But at the same time, you can then not be the same type of person that is actively lying to people to their face to get them to let their guard down, and then you're taking advantage of them, and then you're getting called out for being a clipper and a farmer that is getting called out for farming and clipping, and that nothing that you say and do now wins people over, because at the end of the day, they know that you're fucking trying to farm and clip them. And they know that you're doing it on purpose, because who's going to stop you? Other than those people defending themselves and not letting themselves get victimized by you. It's wild that that was even a concept inside of Helldivers 2. It's even more wild that that's a concept inside of Arc Raiders. It'll be even wilder when the next game comes along. Because tide goes in, tide goes out. This behavior is not going to change just because these particular people happened to play this game. And yeah, they're going to move on, they're going to play a different game, they're going to go to a different place, and it's going to be like a fucking Etch-a-Sketch. However, at the end of the day, I think a lot can be said and done to change this mentality only on an individualistic level. You're not going to get them to change their mind on the level in which they're doing this shit like this. Like, that's not going to fucking happen. It's not going to fucking happen. The only way you're going to really get them to change their mind like that is if you actually meet them where they are. And unfortunately, in the mindset of a person like that, they're only going to change their perspective if you whoop their ass. In order for Nick Merckx to say uncle, 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 you have to be the person who's forming him in the clip. And even when you beat somebody like Merckx, which is to say, hey, everybody remember when Nick Merckx was all about leave the kids alone? Yeah, well, at the same time, he's kind of a scumbag when it comes to online video games. The only way somebody like him is going to give up on the subject matter and move on is if you fuck him into the dirt. Like, you have to fuck him into the dirt in order for it to change. And even if you do, he still wins. It's content at the end of the day. So, it ultimately is what it is. However you want it to be. And you just kind of have to make your peace with that. Now, excuse me. I have a woman to go outside and smooch. return, chat. Star says hi. Anyways, as I was discussing before, my mindset, moving on from the subject matter, I think if you're getting upset about how people are playing the game, when did I get this? If you are upset about the way, no, seriously, when did I get these? I never made these. If you are getting upset about the way that people are playing games, and you make it about something it really doesn't have to be, I think it should be more focused on making it a case of you versus those content creators that are trying to get something out of you when it comes to the stuff that you're doing and the people that you're playing with. Because really, it shouldn't be the PvE versus the PvM. What it really should be is the clippers and the farmers versus the people who are playing the game like normal human beings. That's my opinion. Anyways, moving forward. If you have something you want to say about the content that I just talked about, exclamation point Yap-In. Come talk to me, I talk back. So moving forward, I can see that Leadhead is back at it yet again. I am exhausted, and yet we must find out, but we're not going to find out today, or rather, right now. We're going to find out tomorrow, on Monday at the top of the hour. I can also see that a couple of news topics have evolved, but most of them I need to let percolate for a couple of days. Some of the particular individuals upon which this content relates to, they are seemingly hiding behind blocks. They're seemingly hiding behind blocks. And need to wait until a little bit of information comes through. Because otherwise, I won't be able to get all the context I need to talk about the situations. So, more about that in the future. Now let me see what Star brought me. My single rich, which I'm about to go smash. Mix. White chicken. My unfinished chicken that I accidentally left in the door. Oatmeal. Am I blind? No, it isn't. Oatmeal. Mashed potato mix. Mashed potato mix. Okay. And then I think the other two pieces that I was missing out of my Ocean's Halo. I have to go put this away in the kitchen. And I feel like, unless somebody's got something that they would like to further discuss on the topic that I've talked about here, or something else that they have on their mind, I think I'm about to be out here. So, give you all until I get back. Alright. Read the chat real quick. No new messages in one chat. No one in the lobby. And no new opinion from Twitch. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. Good talk. Good chat, everyone. I will see y'all in the morning. Bye.